Hello everyone. I'll have to be undercover today because today we're gonna learn one of the secret techniques of the Kong view, which is part of Angular martial arts. What you're gonna see today probably gonna change your life. Use this technique in order to master view manipulation in Angular. If you have any questions, you can type it on the chat. You might get answers. Let's start coding. The first thing we're gonna do is to generate an empty project, Angular project. Then I'm gonna create some layout. I'm gonna use Bootstrap. Bootstrap, that's a secret weapon of the Angular Ninja for CSS and for Debo. All the CS classes that you're gonna see are part of Bootstrap. So we're gonna create a simple view. For this, I'm gonna create a folder with shared components. I'm gonna call this folder layout. Here, I'm gonna create free components using Angular schematics and WebStorm, which is another secret tool of the Angular Ninja. The first component that I'm gonna create gonna be a sidebar component. The next component I'm gonna create gonna be a navbar component. The third component I'm gonna create gonna be the footer component. Now as you can see, we've got a footer, a navbar, and a sidebar. Let's use it inside the layout. Here, I'm gonna render the sidebar. Then, I'm gonna create another div, apply some custom CSS, so that's gonna be page content wrapper. Inside of it, I'm gonna use my navbar component, and inside of it, I'm gonna create another div. I'm gonna give it a class of container fluid, and here I'm gonna use router outlet to render some pages. Underneath everything before the closing div, I'm gonna use my footer. So right now, we've got the standard layout of an app, which contains a sidebar, navbar, footer, and a place to render some pages. Next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna drop some CSS and some markup into each one of them. I'm gonna copy the markup straight from Bootstrap website. So here, as you can see, we're gonna get a div, sidebar heading, and some kind of a navigation system. We don't need any styling because I'm using just built-in Bootstrap CSS classes. Next, I'm gonna go to the navbar, and I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna copy some markup from Bootstrap, and here I'm gonna create a navigation with a form. Let's put some dummy content. So we'll see something. For the footer, I'm gonna do the same thing. Copy some markup, dummy text, close all the divs, and now we've got a footer. Let's see if we can get something visible. Here you go. So now we've got a secret dashboard, which is a great starter for any Angular Ninja. Next, let's create some pages. To do this, I'm gonna go back to my code editor. Which I lost. Here it is. I'm gonna create another folder. This time for pages. I'm gonna create 3 pages in this project. Angular components. One of them gonna be the dashboard component, or the dashboard page component. Next, we're gonna create a profile page component, and last, we're gonna create, let's call it, we've got a dashboard, we've got a profile, let's call it projects page, because it's gonna display some projects. Good. I can see that the profile page accidentally went out of the pages folder, so we're gonna bring it back. So now we've got profile, we've got dashboard, and we've got projects. Let's create some routing so we can navigate to each one of them. So we're gonna hit the router model and define some route. The first one gonna be an empty path. It's gonna redirect to a route, which is the home page, or even better, the dashboard. And don't forget the path match, because that's an empty route. Next, let's create the path dashboard, and the path dashboard just gonna render the dash page dashboard component. Same thing for all the others. This one gonna be the profile, and this one gonna be for projects. So now we've got routing. Let's make sure that the navbar component, sidebar component, using the right names. So this should be dashboard, profile, and projects. See the browser again, and as you can see, we can navigate between the pages. Up until now, this is a very standard way of the Angular Ninja who practice Kong view. In order to practice the Kong view, first you need a view. Now we've got a view. Let's practice. The technique that we're gonna learn today is called teleportation, which is a very important technique for the Angular Ninja because it enables you to render components in any place you want without being restricted to the Angular component view tree. Let's see how we can achieve this. First thing we're gonna do gonna be to create a folder. I'm gonna create a directory called a portal. And because in Angular all of our business logic is being handled in services providers, let's create a singleton. Let's call this service a portal. Now inside the portal, let's write some logic. Where is my portal? Why can't I see it? We're gonna provide it in root. We're gonna keep a secret private map named targets. The type would be a map with string and a view container reference. Because in Angular, a view container can be a target where we can attach other views. That's the reason we need a secret map. Next, we're gonna initialize this target map in the constructor. A true Angular Ninja is not lazy and use all the correct types. Next, we implement add target. So we can add a target to our map and then attach to target. So we can attach views to our target. Finally, we want to clear a target because the Angular Ninja always leave the environment clean after he done. We also gonna implement a helper secret private method get target, which gonna help us pull targets from the target map. Let's implement those methods. If you want to add a target, you need to give me a target name and a view container so I can hit my secret map of targets and set an item using the target name you provided and the view container. We don't need to return. Next, if I want to attach something to a target, again, tell me what's the target name you want to attach to. Next, you need to tell me which template you want to attach to this target. I will go to my secret private method, getTarget, look for the target name that you provided, and if it exists, I'm gonna create embedded view using the template you provided. But we didn't implement the getTarget yet. Let's do it now. If you want to get a target, give me the target name. I will give you, in return, a view container ref or null. Now, let's implement this. I'm gonna return these targets. I'm gonna use the has check for the target name, and if it exists, I'm gonna do a this target. I'm gonna get the target name for you. Otherwise, I'm gonna return null. Finally, let's clear. If you want to clear a target, you should give me the target name. I'm gonna use the private method getTarget and look for this target name. And if it exists, I'm gonna clear it. And we're done with the secret logic that's gonna drive our secret rendering weapon. Let's review it. Holding a plain JavaScript map of targets. Targets are view containers. We're gonna give each one of them a name, which is just a string. Then we can add a target to the map, providing a string and a view container ref. We can attach a template to a target by giving the target name, locate it in the map, get the view container that associates with it, and then use the method create embedded view, passing a template. Next, a ninja always clear after in. That's what we're gonna do here. Clear target. Give me a target name. I'll check if it exists on the map. I'm gonna get the view container and I'm gonna clear it. And this is just a private helper method because we're gonna get stuff from the targets map. So we don't want to repeat our code because the Angular Ninja never repeats his code. Now we've got a service, and this service needs to communicate with the view. We're gonna create two directives. The first directive gonna be target. The second directive gonna be attach to. Now our service can communicate with the view. Let's implement those directives and see how we can communicate with the view, starting with the target. So we've got here a target. The target gonna get an input, which is gonna use the same name as the directive, and we're gonna call it target name, which gonna be a string. Next, we're gonna inject our service. Private portal service. Portal service. The Angular Ninja always keep his injections private. That's the secret. We don't want anyone to see this. Next, this directive gonna define the host element as a view container. So we're gonna inject the view container ref. The only thing that we need to do right now in order to add this view container as a target using this string, using our secret portal service, is to implement on init. A true Angular ninja always using component lifecycle hooks to initialize data or to call methods. Otherwise, if you bind the service directly to the template, you can get change detection errors. Let's use the secret service. This portal service add a target. We've got a target name. It's provided as input. We also got a view container because it's provided by dependency injection. Now our directive is simple, but we can use it to define targets everywhere. Let's implement the other directive. The attach to directive gonna do the opposite. First, we want to attach to a specific target. So, just like before, we're gonna use the directive name as an input to get a target name, which is a string. And Angular Ninja always correct his typos. Next, this directive gonna use the secret service. This directive also gonna be sit on top of a template. Let's use dependency injection to get the template. Now that we've got the name of the target that we want to attach to, and we get the template from our directive host, we can implement on init and on destroy. On init, gonna use this portal service attached to target. We know what is the target name, and we've got a template that we can attach to. That was easy. When this directive is destroyed, because the element is destroyed, we're gonna use this portal service clear and clear this target from the template that is attached to this target name. And we're done. Let's review the logic and then see how we can apply it to a real view. In Angular, the Angular Ninja called this method service-oriented development. I just made it up because a true Angular Ninja can made up new terms just like this. All the logic is implemented on a singleton, which acts as a glue. And because we want to interact with view elements, we create directives that secretly, privately consume this service to communicate with the view layer. This is a plain JavaScript provider. There are no dependencies and there is no magic. The map is a plain JavaScript map. Those directives should be attached in the correct places, Let's see what we can do with it. As a starter, we're gonna go to the layout and we're gonna go to the navbar. And here, instead of static text, this navbar content, let's define a target using our directive. So that's gonna be an ng container, because the true Angular Ninja never introduce an unnecessary element. And here we're gonna use nk target and give it a name, navbar. Now we've got a target on the navbar. Let's try to attach something to this target. Now we can go to any page that we want, like the profile page. Let's wrap it with an H1, and we can create some content and send it to the navbar using our attach to directive. Let's see how it looks like. I'm gonna create an ng template which contains a button. Let's call this button profile button. Let's implement something within the profile component. Click profile alert. Alert. Profile alert. Now we've got a template in the profile page, but we want to take this button and render it on the navbar. So we're going to use our directive nk attach to and attach this to the navbar. And that's it. Let's see if it works. This is the home page, which contains the dashboard. We don't see anything here. But if we click the profile, we don't see anything here as well, which means that we did something wrong. Let's try to hard refresh and check the code. Here we've got the nk attached to, asking to attach something to the navbar, sitting on the template within the profile page. The attach to directive take the target name, call the portal service, attach to target, provide the target name, and the template ref, because this directive sit on a template. The target directive can take a target name and a view container and attach a template to it. And I'm going to recheck the template service, the portal service, and the navbar again to make sure that we provided the right naming. A true Angular Ninja never checked the console before he called ngserve again. So we're gonna recompile the project, make sure that there is no, that we still get a problem, and then look at the chat, find out that we've got a typo, and fix this typo. A true Angular Ninja always look at the chat, read the comments, and find that the last component has a typo at the navbar. Let's go to the home page, profile page. Let's make sure that here it's a navbar, and we use the same target name right here. And now it works, which means that we shouldn't use hard-coded string, but instead create a TypeScript enum to avoid these kinds of issues. Now, the navbar doesn't know anything about the pages, but it's got a target as a placeholder. The home page, or the profile page, like any other page, can render things into this target, and both of them are decoupled. Let's try to do the same thing for another component. Let's go to the project page and add a button there. First, I'm gonna wrap this with an H1 because the Angular Ninja always wrap titles with H1. Next, I'm inside the project page. I'm gonna add a projects button, and instead of primary, we call it danger, and we will make sure that we still can call methods Let's fix the typo. And see if it works. So this is the home page, the profile page, and the project page. And everything seems to work. So now we can render components within anywhere in the project using our attach to and define targets. But I want to revalidate this. So I'm gonna go to the footer and I'm gonna add a placeholder right here instead of footer text. This time I won't even create a container, I just use the existing span. NK target footer. So this span is a target. Now I'm gonna go back to the profile page, render some text, show in footer from profile page, and this time I'm not gonna create a template. I'm gonna use my directive, but with an asterisk, and I will let Angular to wrap it with a template for me. I just provide the name, which is much more clean and declarative. Let's see if it works. So now the profile page show in footer from profile page. As you can see here, I've got a typo, and that's because I'm a ninja. I'm not American, and English is not my native language, which doesn't matter. Let's recap. We implemented a very secret technique, which is part of the Kong view, Angular martial art. We were able to use just Angular API and our knowledge in view containers, embedded views, and templates to implement a very flexible rendering engine or pattern or technique. which enable us to render specific content in different places in our app while keeping everything decoupled. This is not how the CDK portal works. This is a completely different approach, using just Angular and a simple view container and embedded view. I'm going to take this code and I'm going to share it on GitHub right now. I'm going to go to VCS, import into version control, shared project on GitHub. I'm going to click share. I'm going to make sure that everything is included. I'm going to give it a comment like secret code, and I'm going to push it to GitHub. So now it's available for you. If you have any question about this technique, go ahead and write it down right now using the chat. You might get answers. If you don't have a question right now, you can leave a comment. The Angular Kong ViewMaster will answer you. Remember, Angular is very flexible. You can render different components or pieces of view in different places. All you need to know is how to work with view containers and embedded views. If you like this technique, I invite you to join me later on this week to learn another practical, secret, deadly Angular martial art pattern, which is TAC1D, which is all about dependency injection. I'm gonna sign off now. Leave your comment. You get answers.